The city hummed a low morning tune, a distant siren wail bleeding into the pre-dawn quiet of our Upper West Side apartment. Sunlight, still weak, barely kissed the buildings across the street, but it was enough to paint the kitchen in a pale, revealing light. That's when he looked at me. One glance. Just a flicker of his eyes, but it sliced through me like a shard of ice. David knew everything. It wasn't a shout, no slammed doors, no tearful showdown. It was quieter, colder. I just slipped back in, the city still holding the humid ghost of the night before, convinced I'd pulled it off. A stupid, reckless detour I'd told myself was nothing, meant nothing. But David's eyes, that flat gray stare, they were a lie detector, a silent prosecutor. He didn't say a word, no accusations, no questions. Just that look. It peeled back every flimsy excuse I'd wrapped around myself. I didn't ask how he found out. Didn't need to. This was David. Man of steel and granite silence. He wasn't the type to explode. He absorbed. He calculated. He was the kind of man who could dismantle you brick by brick without ever raising his voice above a murmur. Now, days later, the apartment is a tomb. Empty. Too quiet. David hasn't come home. Each tick of the grandfather clock in the hallway feels like a hammer blow. The silence is the loudest thing in the city. He's not done. I know that with a certainty that chills me to the bone. But what's he planning? That's the question that claws at my throat. It was supposed to be one night. A desperate gasp of air in a life that felt like it was slowly suffocating me. Chris was young, vibrant, a jolt of pure energy, one night to feel alive again. But now, staring at the city lights glittering like cold diamonds outside my window, I wonder if that fleeting rush was worth the coming storm. The phone is dead silent. No calls, no texts, just a void where David used to be. He's vanished, leaving no trace, no clue, and that silence, that's the real weapon. Because I know David, patience is his second skin. He's always been a strategist, a man who waits, watches, and then strikes. And I know, with a sickening certainty, he's waiting now, waiting for the precise moment to unleash whatever he's been brewing in that silent, calculating mind of his. Alone in this echoing apartment, I rewind. Back to the start. How did we get here? And the question that haunts me, a relentless whisper in the dark. If I'd known, really known what this one night would unleash, would I have walked away? Would I have resisted the pull of Chris's hand, the heat of his gaze? Too late now. The damage is done. And David, somewhere out there in the city's labyrinthine streets, is crafting his revenge. A revenge I fear I won't survive. It wasn't supposed to be me. Cheating? That wasn't in my DNA. 40 years with David. Solid, reliable. Maybe not fireworks, not declarations of undying love every day, but steady. David wasn't a man of grand gestures. But he provided. He was a good man. For a long time, that had been enough. But somewhere along the way, enough wasn't enough anymore. Or maybe it never was. Maybe the cracks were always there, just hairline fractures I chose to ignore. The routines became a cage, the silence a suffocating blanket. David, a long-haul trucker, was gone for days, sometimes weeks, swallowed by the vast American highways. And when he was home, he was still. Elsewhere, his mind miles away, lost in the endless miles of asphalt and engine hum. I stopped asking where he went in those silences. Stopped asking because I was afraid of the answer, afraid of the emptiness I might find there. Then I met Chris. Ridiculous, really, to even say his name now, knowing how young he was. 23, barely older than our son, Mark. But that was the allure, wasn't it? Chris was life unleashed, careless, free. He was a bartender at a place downtown, a dimly lit spot with live music and cheap drinks. I'd go with friends sometimes. A desperate attempt to inject some spark into the monotony. Chris was always there, a flash of white teeth and easy charm. A joke, a smile, a way of making you feel seen, desirable, like you still mattered. It started innocently. Loneliness, a gaping hole in the quiet evenings. David was on the road again, and there I was, at the bar, alone, nursing a glass of wine. Chris appeared, that grin flashing, asking if I wanted my usual. I nodded, and suddenly we were talking. Really talking. I hadn't laughed like that in years. He listened, actually listened, and for the first time in, I couldn't remember when, I felt like someone cared about what I had to say. Looking back, the red flags are blindingly obvious. I should have seen the cliff edge looming, should have known where it was headed, but I didn't. Or maybe I did, and a reckless part of me just didn't care. That night, after too many glasses of wine, Chris offered to walk me to the subway. Should have said no? Should have thanked him for the conversation, for the fleeting warmth, and walked away. But I didn't. His hand brushed mine as we walked, and I didn't pull away. That touch, a spark in the dead wires of my nerves, a thrill I hadn't felt in decades. At the subway entrance, there was a pause, a breath held, a choice. I could have gone down those steps, disappeared into the city's underground arteries, gone back to my silent apartment, my silent marriage. But I didn't. Instead, I let him kiss me. And that kiss, that was the point of no return. One kiss blurred into another, and the next thing I knew, we were in a cheap motel room in Queens, the kind of place you go to disappear, to be invisible. One night, I told myself, just one night of feeling alive, one night to escape the grayness and pretend I was someone else, younger, free. I told myself no one would ever know, that I could bury it, move on. But even as I whispered those lies to myself, a cold knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I knew better. Morning came too quickly, painting the cheap motel room in a harsh, unforgiving light. I slipped out before Chris woke. Couldn't face him. Couldn't face what I'd done. Guilt settled in, a crushing weight in my chest. The subway ride home was a blur of noise and faces, my mind a frantic scramble of justifications and regrets. How could I face David? How could I pretend? But when I walked into the apartment, it was empty. David was gone, just like I'd left it. For a fleeting, desperate moment, I let myself believe I'd gotten away with it, that I could bury this secret and it would stay buried. But secrets, like corpses, have a way of surfacing. I don't know when David found out. Don't know how long he'd been carrying it, this silent knowledge, before that morning in the kitchen. But I suspect it was almost immediate. David missed nothing. Even in his silences, he was always watching, observing, a silent sentinel. But he kept it hidden, locked away behind that granite facade. That morning, when I walked in, David was at the kitchen table, coffee mug in front of him, newspaper spread wide. He didn't look up, didn't acknowledge my presence. I froze in the doorway, heart hammering against my ribs, waiting for the explosion, waiting for the accusations to detonate, but none came. Instead, he slowly looked up. His eyes met mine. Calm, terribly calm. And that calm, that was more terrifying than any rage. "Morning," he said, his voice steady, even, like nothing was wrong. I swallowed, throat tight with fear. "Morning." My voice trembled, betraying me. I waited for the questions, the accusations, the storm to break, but he just sipped his coffee, rustled the newspaper, and went back to reading, as if everything was normal, perfectly normal. But I knew the storm was coming. It was just gathering force. For the next few days, David's routine didn't change. Quiet as ever, going through the motions, up early, out the door to work, home in the evening, newspaper at the kitchen table. But there was a shift. Subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A tension in his shoulders, a flicker in his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking. Like he was waiting for me to crack, waiting for me to confess. But I didn't, couldn't. Fear had clamped my mouth shut. Fear of what would unleash if I broke the silence. So I stayed silent too. But David's silence wasn't forgiveness. It was fury, controlled, simmering just beneath the surface, and I knew, with a growing dread, it was only a matter of time before it boiled over. Then the little things started, subtle tremors before the earthquake. My phone, always locked, sitting on the kitchen counter one morning, unlocked and open to a text message from Chris, a message I hadn't deleted. "Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again." Blood ran cold. I hadn't shown David that message, hadn't even breathed Chris's name in his presence. But there it was, exposed, laid bare for him to see. I looked up, heart hammering, expecting to see him, to confront him, but the apartment was empty, too quiet, and I realized then, he didn't need to say anything, didn't need to confront me. He already knew, had known for days, maybe longer, and he was letting me stew, letting guilt eat me alive, waiting for me to make the first move. But I was paralyzed. The day David disappeared was unremarkable, like any other morning. He left early for what I assumed was another trip. Truck drivers, always on the move. It wasn't unusual for him to be gone for days. But this time felt different. No kiss goodbye, no see you in a few days. Just the soft click of the front door closing behind him, leaving me alone in the kitchen, coffee growing cold in my hands, wondering if that was it, if he was gone for good. I pushed the thought away. Overreacting. David was distant, yes, but he wasn't the type to just leave. Not without a word, not without a fight. Or so I thought. The first few days crawled by. I went through the motions, a ghost in my own life, trying to pretend everything was normal. But as days bled into weeks, the unease solidified into a cold, hard knot of fear. David wasn't on a trip. He had vanished, and he wasn't coming back. I called his cell. Voicemail. Every time. Tried his boss. No one had heard from him. He just disappeared, leaving me in the suffocating silence of the empty apartment. At first, I told no one, didn't want to admit it, didn't want to face the reality that my marriage, my life was unraveling. But as weeks stretched into a month, the silence became unbearable. I called Mark and Emily, our kids, hoping, praying they might have heard something. Mark, the steady one, the school teacher in Westchester, calm, level-headed. When I told him David was gone, he was immediately here, in the apartment, trying to make sense of it. Emily, a corporate lawyer downtown, sharp, pragmatic, always closer to David than me. When I called her, her voice was ice. "What did you do, Mom?" she demanded. "You need to fix this." Fix it? I didn't even know where to begin. Mark sat with me in the living room asking questions, gentle but persistent, trying to piece together the timeline. Any warning signs? Anything that might indicate David was planning to leave? I couldn't tell him the truth, not about Chris, so I lied. Told him David had been distant, withdrawn, that I didn't know why he'd left. Mark nodded, his brow furrowed, thoughtful. He believed me, at least, for now. Then the text started, a few days after Mark left. Sitting alone, the city lights a cold, indifferent backdrop to my fear. Phone buzzed, unknown number, message. "You'll pay for this." Breath hitched, heart slammed against my ribs. Prank? Wrong number? No. Deep down, I knew this was David. Somehow, some way, he was behind this. I texted back, "Who is this?" Silence. Nothing. For days, that text hung over me, a dark cloud, expecting another message, another blow, but just silence. Mark called, checked in. I didn't tell him about the text, didn't know what to say, didn't even understand what was happening, yet. A week later, another text. "It's only the beginning." Then I knew. This wasn't random, this wasn't going to stop. David was out there, plotting, and I was trapped in his game. The apartment felt smaller, tighter, the silence heavier. Every creak, every shadow, every sound from the street outside sent a jolt of fear through me. Tried to keep going, normal routines, hoping if I acted like everything was okay, maybe it would be. But it wasn't. David wasn't coming back, and the messages, they were just the opening act. Then came the first real strike. Bank, needed cash. Haven't checked the account in weeks. No reason to. Teller frowned. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson. Account frozen." Frozen? That can't be right. But it was. David. He'd done it. Cut me off, financially neutered, not a dime. Everything in his name, transferred, accounts I couldn't touch. Walked out of the bank in a daze, mind reeling. Planned. All of it. Not just leaving, dismantling, my life. Piece by piece. Texts, money, silence, all part of his meticulously crafted revenge, punishment, for one night with Chris. But how far would he go? Couldn't hide it from Mark and Emily any longer. Texts, bank, the suffocating fear. Had to tell them. Face it. Face the consequences. Called them. Mark arrived first. Concern etched on his face, softness in his eyes. Emily, colder, arms crossed, by the window, refusing to look at me. "Mom," Mark started, gentle but firm. "What's going on? You're not telling us everything." Deep breath, hands shaking, lapped. "Something I need to tell you both." Emily's eyes snapped to mine, narrowed. "What is it, Mom? What have you done?" Their stares, unbearable, but no escape. Had to tell them, so I did. Chris, the night, David finding out, disappearing, texts, bank, fear, everything. Silence. Thick, suffocating. Mark stared at the floor, jaw clenched. Emily looked at me like I was a stranger. "I can't believe this," Emily finally said, voice shaking with fury. "Can't believe you'd do this to Dad, to us." "Didn't mean for any of this." Whisper, barely audible. "Mistake. Terrible mistake." Emily shook her head. Disgust. "Mistake? You ruined everything, Mom. Destroyed our family." Mark, silent until now, spoke. "Hey, Mom, why didn't you tell us sooner? Why keep this from us?" "Scared," I admitted, voice breaking. Didn't know how to tell you, didn't know how to face it. Mark sighed, hand over his face. So, what do we do now? Where do we even start? Don't know. Head shake. Don't know where David is, don't know what he's planning. Emily turned away, back to us. Window. I don't care what he's planning, cold voice. I'm done. Don't want to be part of this anymore. Emily, please. No, Mom, you did this. Made your bed, lie in it. Grabbed purse, stormed out, door slammed, echoed. Silence again. Mark and I. Living room tomb. Disappointment radiating off him, but he didn't say it. Didn't need to. Lost one child. Distance growing with Mark too. I'll stay, Mark finally said. Quiet voice. I'll help you figure this out, but don't know if I can fix this, Mom. Words broke me, but I nodded. Didn't deserve his help, but needed it. Someone on my side, even if I didn't deserve that either. Days passed. David's plan unfolding. Not just money, everything. Dismantle, entire life. Nothing left. Letter from lawyer, divorce. Full control, assets. House, car, everything. His. Timed it perfectly. Accounts, property, gone before I even knew. Revenge. Lawyer's office. Papers, shaking hands, processing. How? One night, this, Mark beside me, silent, stunned, pain in his eyes, helpless. Anything we can do? Trembling voice. Lawyer shook head, grim. Sorry, Mrs. Thompson. Legally, it's all his. Not much we can do. Sick, David. Planned it, carefully, methodically, trapped, like always. Texts kept coming, threatening, escalating. Oh, haven't seen anything yet. All going to crumble. Knew David, no proof. Police? No. Mark? Couldn't tell him everything. Fear gnawing, day and night, shoulder check, shadow jump, every noise. Unexpected. Frank out there, not done. Yet. Call, unknown number. Calm voice, bored almost. Meet me at the cabin. David. Heart race. Cabin. Our place. Years ago. Catskills. Isolated. Weekends. Early years. Years since we'd been. Dread. But no choice. Answers. Why? Destroying everything built together. Had to go. Cabin. Exactly as remembered. Small, rustic, stone fireplace, light from porch. David. Steps. Unreadable. Approached. Knew you'd come. Quiet voice. Why, David? Shaking voice. Why ruining everything? Stood up, towering, cold eyes. You ruined everything, Sarah. Voice flat. You did this. Betrayed me. Paying the price. Mistake. Tears. Didn't have to destroy my life. Bitter smile. You destroyed my life. Slept with that kid. Not just you, Sarah. Make you feel the same pain. What do you want? Whisper. Suffer. Simply. Want you to feel what I felt. Turned. Walked away. Darkness swallowed him. Alone. Cabin porch. Heart shattered. David gone. Truly gone. This time. Darkness swallowed him. Porch, cabin, hollow chest, aching, no fight left. David won. Taken everything. Money, home, family, nothing left. Hold on to. Drove home. Silence, weight pressing down. Suffocating blanket, driveway, not even my home anymore. David made sure. Weeks followed. Pieces, shattered life. Impossible. Damage done. House sold, accounts empty, reputation ruined. David insured. Nothing to fall back on. Emily. Stopped answering. Mark. Visited. Distance growing. Eyes. Disappointment. Hurt. Destroyed family. No repair. Jake. Long gone. Text stopped. Moved away. Fleeting mistake. Moment of weakness. Cost everything. Small apartment. Edge of town. Far from life. Days blurred. Regret. Loneliness. Silence. Suffocating before. Companion now. Days reflecting. Choices. Different. Too late. David. Paid ultimate price. Betrayal ruins life. New reality. Isolation. Regret. One moment. Weakness. Cost everything. Held dear. Price of betrayal.